When it comes to defensive shooting, there's no question that a good athletic stance, generally squared off the target, is the better way to go. One of the most important things when it comes to defensive shooting is going to be recoil management so that you can fire those fast follow-up shots and get that threat stopped as quickly as you can. Despite that fact, we still see people coming to the range and wanting to use bladed stances, upright stances, stances that might be great for precision shooting, might work in areas where you're going to be doing limited strings of fire, like 2 shots to one target, 2 shots to another target, 2 shots to another target, single shots, taking down a plate rack, something like that, but aren't good for rapid multiple shot strings of fire with a high volume of fire into that high center chest at typical defensive distances. Let's take a look at why. Now, Christina's been trained to shoot in a good athletic stance, but we're going to try to coach her into what I think is an inappropriate stance for defensive shooting, the Weaver stance. Very popular in the past, very controlled circumstances under which it seems to work well, but when we truly just want to shoot a rapid string of fire at the torso of a threat at a typical distance, we're going to see where the failure points are. So Christina, what I'm going to do is have you stay straight up. Go ahead and bring your right leg back. Okay, that's typical Weaver stance is going to involve bringing your strong leg back. Drive your strong arm all the way out. Keep your torso bladed though. Turn away, and that's going to cause this bend in the elbow. And that bend in the elbow is going to allow for some isometric tension. You're pushing forward with this hand while you're pulling back with your weak hand. And pulling back is going to isolate the position of the gun. In this position, she's going to be able to hold the tremor of the gun, any movement of the gun down. She can close an eye, she can use the sights, she can get her alignment and be very precise, and it's a target shooting position. Let's see what happens when she fires 4 shots as fast as she can. We're probably going to get about 4 shots in 1 second. Christina, when you're ready. And I'll take the gun, and we'll go down here and take a look at what happens. Now, from the side view, you probably saw her body rock back and that gun move up in the frame relative to her head. That's very typical. If you think about it, she's got this arm out straight, her back is arched, she's got this elbow bent, and that gun really has nowhere else to go. All right, now this is a very extreme spread of shots, as you can see. Now somebody's going to look at this and say, well, they're all in the torso, so that counts, but we don't want to count on luck. Just the fact that we're inside of a piece of paper torso, we know the head moves, the body moves. This is one of the reasons we shoot at the high center chest. If we vary, or if the person moves or is startled, they flinch, they lower their center of gravity, they turn, for whatever reason, when we shoot at them, we're still likely to stay in the torso, in that vital area, right? So when we see a shot all the way down here and a shot all the way up here, that kind of vertical stringing is what's typical of a back straight target shooting, poor recoil management type position. And that's certainly what we see. If we go back and look as she shot, we saw a lot of variation vertically in the position of the gun relative to her body. And that's pretty typical. So we're going to try to get rid of some of that vertical stringing and have Christina shoot at approximately the same pace. I'm going to go ahead and get my eye protection back on. But this time we're going to have her shoot in a good athletic stance. She's going to lower her center of gravity, bend the knees, close the hips, get her shoulders in front of her hips. That gets her body weight behind the gun. When she extends both arms fully, gets her shoulders engaged so that her shoulders are not next to her torso, over her hips, but in front of her torso. Obviously her torso is leaning forward. She's got a lot of weight behind the gun. You can come back in and relax. This is the high compressed ready position. She's going to lower her center of gravity, and at this point when she's ready, she can drive out and fire 4 shots again as fast as she can pull the trigger. Awesome. That gun's empty. I'll take it, put it back down here on the table, and we can see that those 4 shots, much less vertical disparity, and we have a good closed hand size group. Obviously on this target, she's aiming at this X. This is the old kind of B29, B21 type target, and the fact is B27, depending on which version you used. This one here has a lower than we would normally use group area, right? We want to be in the high center chest, but this idea of shooting and controlling recoil, being able to fire those 4 shots into this size group or even this size group as opposed to this huge vertical stringing, that's the reason that we don't trust the Weaver position. Now, we know that there are a lot of people who can shoot very well in that position, and in the past, a lot of people have shot very well in that position, but almost always in a controlled environment. And that controlled environment has included a lot of competition and a lot of choreographed training where people were told to shoot 2 shots, pause, shoot 2 shots, pause, things like IDPA, things like IPSC. The idea is to not choreograph your training. The idea is to shoot as many shots as you need until the threat stops and to shoot them as quickly as you can. And the best way to do that is with an athletic stance, not with a target shooting position like the Weaver stance.